The Fitbit Charge 5 has been recommended in a number of places as the best all-round fitness tracker. Is it time to check it out? Hey, Nish here, and Fitbit, owned by Google, are one of the oldest players in the fitness tracker game, so this Charge 5, the 5th edition of the Charge fitness tracker, is a pretty mature piece of tech that we're taking a look at today. The Charge 5 comes in about €150 or 130-ish pounds, sometimes on sale. It has a 1-inch AMOLED touchscreen display and comes in black and dark grey, white and gold, and blue and grey. By default, it comes with 2 latex straps which cover pretty much the entire range of wrist sizes, and there are other proprietary strap styles available. The watch face itself is 35mm by 23mm, which definitely puts it on the smaller, unobtrusive side of watches, perhaps a little dainty if you have huge wrists. It's rated up to 50 meters in water and is also sweat-proof, which is important given the fitness aspect. There's a proprietary magnetic USB charger, and according to Fitbit, one charge can last up to 7 days depending on usage, though it is worth noting that if you are using the onboard GPS continually, then this reduces to just 5 hours. As far as the included sensors go, we have heart rate monitoring, SpO2, which uses a light to monitor the saturation of oxygen in your blood, accelerometry and step counting, and onboard GPS. This array of sensors can be used to measure pretty much everything you'd want to be looking at. So as I mentioned, step count, it can record the intensity and heart rate during physical activities and during the day. There's a variety of sleep metrics which it measures, so it can look at how long you've slept for and how long you've spent in certain zones of sleep, giving you an overall score of the quality of your sleep and also measuring the level of alertness. There's even some strange fringe features which aren't rated for medical use, but they look at interesting things like the heart rhythm of your heart and if you've got an irregular rhythm. The watch's onboard memory can store up to 7 days of data, and then after that you'll have to connect it by Bluetooth to the app on your connected smartphone. Now, using the watch is pretty straightforward. There are no buttons, it's just the touchscreen, and to activate it you can either double tap it or turn your wrist. There's an auto detection going on there. Once you're in, you can swipe left and right to access the various apps on the device, down to access the metrics, and up to access settings and Fitbit Pay. So there's NFC included on here. You can load up some of your cards, though it is worth noting that depending on what country you're in, only certain banks are supported. As far as the apps go, you're limited to only 6 of the 20 plus activities that you can access directly from the watch to start with. And apart from that, you've got a few different types of scans. So there's one that does a 30-second ECG, essentially, of your heart rate. There's a 3-minute EDA and stress scan, which apparently looks at your skin temperature variability to look at how relaxed and calm you are, maybe after doing some meditation. There's also some little utilities like a stopwatch, a timer, and an alarm. The cool thing about the alarm is it has a smart feature which can wake you up in the 30 minutes leading up your time at the best time, depending on where you are in your sleep cycle. There isn't that much customizability in terms of which apps you can display and the order of them, but the cool thing is that there are apps that people have made and you can access those in the Fitbit app. The Fitbit app is very well made. There's a lot of data and statistics and graphs for those data nerds out there. And for those who want to take it a step further, you are actually able to export your data using the website of Fitbit in order to get that as a, spreadsheet and maybe start training some statistical models or something, or whatever you want to do with it. Now, when you set up your Fitbit account for the first time, you're able to activate a free trial of Fitbit Premium for 6 months in this case. Honestly, I'm not super impressed by it. I'm actually going to be making another video shortly about why I wasn't so impressed by this service that costs around €80 a year. So stay tuned for that, or subscribe, or check it out if it's already out, depending on what situation we're at. In brief, 2 of the most significant features are algorithmic features. So one of them is with the sleep tracking, you get some more advanced statistics, including the time spent in each phase and how the score is broken down. And there's also the daily readiness rating, which tells you how much you should exercise. Apart from my gripes with the premium feature, I've been using this watch for about 2 months and I've had a pretty good experience with it. I'd say the tracking features work very well. The step counting is quite accurate. I found the heart rate tracking to be very responsive, especially, when you find you've had some peaks in your workout. One of Fitbit's unique features is this active minutes feature, which is a score that it gives you depending on the time you spent in certain heart rate zones during the day. So that's a good way to measure your general level of activity and a nice way to set objectives and goals. And in general, there are a lot of ways to set goals and track your progress. For example, you can have a global step goal every day, and you can also have a requirement of activity every hour, and it will buzz at you to remind you to get off your ass. The sleep tracking was actually the main thing I bought this for because I was curious how I was sleeping and to see if there was anything that could be improved about it. And I find that it's very accurate in knowing when you went to bed and when you got up, and it gives you quite a detailed breakdown of the phases you're in. Now, obviously, I can't really verify if when it told me I was in REM sleep, I was actually in REM sleep, but it does seem reasonable overall. There is automatic activity tracking on here as well, although I find sometimes it gets confused between running and cycling. And also a funny thing that happened to me was during salsa dancing, it interpreted that as swimming, because obviously there's a lot of arm movements. So it's a little bit wonky, but you can go back and edit the activities and change it to the correct activity. So it's not a big deal. And it's nice that they've included that in case you forget to track whatever you're doing. Those extra scans I mentioned, I tried the EDA one a couple of times, and for some reason it doesn't seem to work with me very well, but the heart ECG thing does work. It's kind of cool to see the trace of your heart. I'm not sure what utility it has really. And one of the main things that Fitbit make very clear in the app is that this is not medically diagnostic information. So it's purely for entertainment purposes, I suppose. But obviously they would have tried to design it well, and perhaps it could be useful to detect unseen problems, but you'd have to go to a doctor and whatnot. Let's talk about pros and cons now. First off, I think we have a very complete set of tracking features, and I don't think you're going to be in want of any more features. In fact, I was looking at Fitbit's more expensive watches, for example, the Sense 2, and I really couldn't find anything on that list of specs that you're missing in the Charge 5. Obviously, with the more advanced smart features like having apps and Spotify and that kind of thing, you're missing out on with the Charge 5, which is more oriented to fitness tracking, but on that side, it's very comprehensive. I think another pro could be considered the presentation and size. It's a very inoffensive looking device, and I think it doesn't scream fitness tracker. Obviously, it doesn't quite look like one of those watches that's a normal watch and camouflaging as a fitness tracker, but I think it's very inoffensive and it has an okay style. And lastly, I think the battery life is respectable. I think it's nice to have something that can last for a few days, although if you really go hard on the activities, maybe you'll have to charge it every few days. I personally don't use them that much, and so I was finding that 5 to 7 days is easily achievable. Moving on to cons, it's hard to say bad things about this tracker, honestly. One of the things that annoyed me about the interface is that you can't customize like the order of the apps. For example, I was using the timer a lot while I was cooking, and it's a bit annoying having to swipe 6 times just to get to that every time, and it would have been nice to have a little bit of a customization. Apart from that, I would say the strap is one of the problems for me, and not just me, it's not a problem that's unique to me. I've seen other people mention it, and it is that this latex strap is quite irritating to the skin, and for me, after a few days of wearing it when I first got it, that was enough for me to start to get irritation on my hand. Obviously, basically, you need to take the watch off and let your skin breathe every now and then, but it surprised me because before I used to wear like a Casio digital watch all the time and rarely ever took it off, and I never had problems over many years of that. But yeah, your mileage may vary, be aware of that, but you can buy other straps obviously as an alternative. So we can conclude, and I think coming at it from an objective viewpoint, the Charge 5 is an excellent fitness tracker. I think for most kind of casual normal people who just want to keep an eye on their metrics and see how they're sleeping, I think you really couldn't ask for more from a watch like this. From my personal standpoint, in general, in the fitness tracker world, I've kind of tried it for a bit and I'm like, well, I don't really need this, and maybe I'll explore that in another video coming up as well. So two videos potentially coming up that you should subscribe for. One where I talk about Fitbit Premium and why I'm not that impressed by it, and another one about fitness trackers overall and do we even need them. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been a useful video. Let me know what you think of this fitness tracker, or if you think another fitness tracker should have the crown of best all-around value for money. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.